No, but welcome everybody. Thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate you joining this training as we transition over to the focus assessments.
We're really excited. Mike and I have had a chance to really get to know each other over these last couple of weeks putting these in. So we were really excited that you guys get to see it. We did confirm our audio. That is all good. I do want to talk about the big reason for why this is all happening. So as we know, Lake County Schools was an A district this year. And obviously the work that you guys do with LSAs and the coordination of what those assessments look like help to continue to make this district an A district. So we're hoping to continue that good work and that mission because, big picture, the reason we're moving into the focused assessment module is because A, it's district supported. The people that need to see the assessment data will have rights to see the assessment data, meaning that you're not just giving it to anybody. Nobody can just go in. Teachers are going to be able to see the stuff they need just about their kids. It's not going to be about other data other than what they're supposed to see. Everything together is in one place, meaning that the communication module, where you can message kids, the assessment data, positive behavior badges, discipline records, everything is going to be together in one platform and live, which is nice because you're not going to have to go from here to here to here to here to get what you need. And it is free included with Focus, which, I mean, on our side, we definitely love to see in the era of budget cuts. So what we're going to do right now is the way that this is going to be set up today is you're going to watch my screen first, and then you're not going to want to do it with me, or you're going to feel quite sad. Because when I give you work time, you're going to have done it already. What I really want you to do, so you're not having to click back and forth, and what did she say, and what did Mike say? I want you to watch what I'm doing, and then you'll be able to copy that in your own work. I do want to mention that we are actually going to be today in the Focus training site for right now. Mike and I, well, Mike, this was Mike's idea. I don't even get to give it away. He was like, what happens if we put them in the real site? So later on today, you guys are going to have access into the real site to input this stuff in, but you currently will have to use the training site because it's not ready for you to use it in the real site yet, but it will be by the end of this training. So you're going to need to do the Focus training tile and class link.
And Tori, how will they know that they're in the focus training site?
Oh, I love that you asked that question, because the Focus training site, if you look on the top left, it says training in red. That's how you know. And you know even more, Mike? My name is not Earl Lauer. It's Tori Grable. By the way, I guess this is Mike Tipton and Tori Grable. These are our names. My name is not Earl Lauer. Really important to know that when you're in the training site, the reason I'm able to put all of this on the air is because it's scrambled data, which means it's not real kids, which is a good thing because that way, you know, you're not putting real stuff up there.
So they're going to be in the training site for the first half of this, but then what I'm hearing is they're going to be in the real site at the end.
You're hearing right. That's great. So
fantastic. You
guys are going to be in the training site for this first half, and then, like Mike said, you'll be in the real one. And we will let you know. So don't worry, we won't lead you astray. So like I said, you're going to be in the Focus training site. You're just watching what I'm doing on my screen, and then we're going to give you some work time. On the left navigation panel, you're probably noticing this right now. Once I go into a somebody that's not me, if you go into assessment and district assessments, you'll probably see this as a new button in the training site. Again, you're not going to see it in the real site yet. This is only something that we have to practice. So you go to assessment, district assessments. And Mike, this is where I get a little scared because there's so many assessments. How do I know which one I'm choosing, and how do I know that's the right one?
Well, that's a great question. We've set these up exactly like we have always done the LSAs. So we're using the same naming convention that we're used to, and also every assessment has its own unique ID. And so all you have to do is, and those have all already been provided to you, and every quarterly window will provide those to you as they're billed. All you need is that assessment ID, and then you can search for it and then verify it using the title, which is the standard naming convention we're already used to.
Well, and right now it doesn't look like, you know, you see all these LSAs here. I am going to tell you this, while you're in the training site, you're only going to do the practice test that we've done here. And the reason that is because you're in the training site, there's some weird things that happen when you cross lines. But regardless, what Mike's talking about is this ID right here. You won't need to copy it. You're going to have a list from Mike. Or right.
And It's already in your newsletter. You already have it.
So when you copy it, you're going to see, and you paste it into the search box. I see the activity ID, and there it is. All I have to do is hit the search button. How do I know I have the right one? It's the only one there once you have the assessment in.
And at that point, just verify that you've got the right assessment with the title.
So once you have that verified, all you got to do is click the title of the assessment. In this case, it's Practice Test 3 for LSA Coordinators. And then you get to this screen. Now, Mike tells me that we are used to assigning assessments by the course level. Mike, what should they do if they don't know what those courses are?
Oh, that's a great question. What should they do?
Great. I was so glad you asked. I set myself up for that one. You should reach out to your data clerks and or scheduling team. So just in case you're like, wait, I don't actually know what the course codes are. I know I have some secondary folks in here that had to sneak in with some of the time. If you're unsure of what your course code is, please reach out to your data clerk and your scheduling team, because some schools do things a little bit differently, and we want to make sure that you're assigning the right course out to the right people. So what I mean is when you select courses, there's so many, it's really scary. But a way to make it less scary is if I'm at a middle school, so the LSA that I'm going to assign right now currently is civics. So when I type in civics, I can do a few things. If I hit exact filter, what happened, Mike? I get a much smaller list. So when I'm here, I can hit check all. Of course, you would know your courses, they're at your school. But for my purposes, I'm just going to select all so you can see it. And once I'm there, I have them. They're selected. I let go. I see that right there. They've all been selected. The other thing I'm going to ask that when you get into the real site, and it's really just going to be good practice today, is when you select the schools, I want to make sure we know this. Every single person in this meeting right now has a little bit of a different role, meaning that if you're a principal or an AP, you might see all schools. If you have an administrative profile that allows you to see all schools, it's really important that you just select what's available for your school. So, big picture, your 2 steps are going to be course and school.
So
Now,
for those K-8 programs, that would be great, but what about just for the elementary school?
So in elementary school, what you would do here essentially would just be, you would still do the same thing, Mike. You would just do like grade 1, grade 5. So it'd be a little bit different than the course codes. That's a great question. If you're doing like 5th grade LSAs, I might just do grade 5, or, I type in science and you see all of these start to pop up, and then you would just be specific on that end.
So finding the courses are just that simple.
Finding the courses really are just that simple.
Wow.
And we really aren't just a talk show. We actually want to tell you, it really is that simple. Mike and I have taken the liberty of making sure that you're prepared. We do have all of the tasks and guides. I did send you that information when I emailed you this afternoon, morning, it's all blending. So if you're like, wait, I didn't get that, send me an email. Pretty much all of this will be there in my out of office reply. But you'll have this, so you're not going to be left in the dark if you're like, what did she just say? It's all right here.
And that's a step-by-step. Literally click here, click this, select this. It's step-by-step.
We leave nothing left to chance, because if I don't have those buttons, Mike, like on my own personal stuff, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I want to make sure that you know that step-by-step is there. I assign the course in the school. I don't see kids. Really important. Big 3 steps here. Course, school, and the filter button. Because now notice when I do the filter button, now what do I see? All of these students. So I see all of these students, and those are going to be the ones that are being assigned to take their LSA for civics. Big question, will you have to do this for each assessment? Yes, because I searched for Practice Test 3 LSA coordinators. This would be saying up here, LSA
biology,
or LSA US history, or whatever the
5th
test
grade
is.
science.
And so to me, if I want to verify myself, I'm looking at the test title here and the course title there in the center. Now, Mike, this is where things get a little bit more complex, and it's really not complex. But we do want you to know this. We work really closely with our vendor at Focus talking about assessments. So what that means is this first round is going to be a little more button pushing than what you're probably going to be doing with quarters 2, 3, and 4. Right now, you are setting the start and end date for the window for LSAs. Mike, when is the window for the first round of LSAs?
So the Q1 is going to be October 1st through October 10th.
So if you are assigning this for the first time, you would do October 1st through October 10th. What I'm doing, because I want to show you guys what this all looks like on a teacher and student view, is I'm going to set it for today. But you guys would know that you're going to be setting that assessment up for when the window is actually opened.
And so for the moment, that is going to be a little bit different, because in Performance Matters, we set that parameter on the back end and it automatically locked it to that window. Focus, District IT is in communication with Focus, and they're aware of that capability, and they are working with their engineers to make that a feasible option within Focus. And they're anticipating Q2 that's going to go live. So we're anticipating it's only going to be this round of assessments that you're going to have to manually set this window. And then after that, we'll be able to do it behind the scenes for you, which was just like we did with Performance Matters.
The next question that we usually get is, all right, so I have the date, I have the timeline, I don't see any of that here. What other parameters do I have to set specifically for an assessment? And I'd be like, Self, great question. You have the start and end date, so you're gonna always have to worry about doing them at least for quarter one. Like Mike said, 2, 3, and 4, we will definitely update you and let you know. Anyone that's middle school or a K-8, I want you to really listen to me about this. Elementary, like hold your ears just for 1 second. If you see restrict to course times, notice that restrict to course times means that if they are following a bell schedule, the child will only, or the student will only be taking it in front of the teacher that has them for that class. So for example, if I had civics in third period as a student, I would only be able to see it when I had my third period class. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yes, it does. So I'm hearing Focus identifies that that student is in third period for biology, and that student has been assigned biology assessment, and it's going to lock that down where that student can only take that assessment during third period.
Correct. Now, you also have the option for the 15-minute buffer. We recommend this. So we recommend restrict to course times, because that means, you know, Johnny in third period is not taking his assessment in first period, essentially. And then some of you are saying, what about accommodations? I promise we're going to go over that too. So you have restrict to course times and the 15-minute buffer. What that means is 15 minutes before Johnny goes to third period, he's able to have the exam open for him. So that way, like, everything is kind of already set. When he goes into the class, he's ready to go. It also is 15 minutes after, because say Johnny only has like 2 questions. He said, Ms. Grable, please let me finish this assessment. I'm right there. I'm on a roll. I don't want to have to take it tomorrow. You're allowing him a 15-minute buffer.
That's great.
So the other thing we want to make sure that everyone does, elementary, you can listen to this, is use text to speech. We are just mass assigning it to everybody, especially since this is going to be a new platform for them. I will show you what it looks like on the student view.
Yep. And now this is a different step from Performance Matters. The text-to-speech functionality we set up behind the scenes within the parameters of the actual assessment itself. But with Focus, it has to be done on this screen. So that functionality has to be turned on when you are assigning this assessment at this level on this screen. And then just like with Performance Matters, and everybody has access to it, and then the students that do need it can use it for their particular accommodations.
Absolutely. I want to mention that for elementary school, right now, secondary, this is probably what you, well, this should be what your parameters look like. There's always some circumstances where it's different. If you have any questions where you're like, but my bell schedule or my this, just reach out to Mike and I. We can definitely lead you in the right direction and come up with some solutions. Elementary, now if you're looking at my screen here, we are going to turn off restricted course times and turn off the 15-minute buffer. Why? Because in elementary school, you don't have periods of time that's reported in a bell schedule the way that secondary has it. Your elementary school teacher, if they're in third grade, they might be departmentalist or they might be teaching all subjects. We don't know. So we're going to say that what yours might want to look like is you absolutely could do a start and end time if you wanted. You don't have to. You could absolutely say, I want all of my assessments done from, 8 a.m. to, 4 p.m. and leave it at that. So date, time if you want, and use the text to speech. When you mass assign that, you click that blue button. I see yellow. Mike, what does it mean when I see yellow?
Yellow means that there is a save step that you have to do within Focus.
You got it. So when I see yellow, I notice it's assigned everybody to this. When I hit the save button, the yellow goes away, and that's how I know that I've assigned the assessment.
So that quickly, all these students just got assigned that assessment.
Absolutely. So they're all in. Now, some people are saying, oh, but what does the teacher see? What does the teacher do? This is all coming from you guys. I will say that I think when I show the teacher view later on, it'll make a little bit more sense. But when it comes to just assigning the assessments out to the kids, it wasn't that many clicks. Um, and what we want you to do now is have the opportunity to get into the training site and experience doing this by yourself. Really get in. I want you to assign either practice test 1, 2, or 3. You can assign all 3 if you really wanted to get crazy. But just practice tests for 3 for LSA coordinators. You're not going to do any of the LSAs or practice anything else other than practice tests 1, 2, and 3 for the LSA coordinators.
So I'm hearing if I know the course ID and I log into Focus, I go to assessments, district assessments, I search for that assessment. It comes up in the center of the screen and I select it. I automatically land on the assign screen. And from there, I just need to choose my course, my school, select the filter. My student should populate in the center. Then I set my parameters on the left. For this go round, we have to set the window of time, which is October 1st through October 10th. If I'm a secondary level school, I'm going to restrict the course times. I'm going to also put that 15-minute buffer on, and all of us will choose text to speech so that that option is available for all students, and then hit assign, and that's it.
That's it.
It's done.
So that really, Mike, that really is it. And I will tell you, the more comfortable you get in it, the faster you become. Like I know Mike and I looked at it the first time, we're like, oh, this seems, you do it so many times, it becomes a little bit of a second nature. I do want to make sure that I mention, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. You are going to have time to complete task 1. I want to make sure that you know where those tasks are. So I sent that in the original email that I sent to you this morning. That says, please print this out before. Don't stress if you didn't. It's just going to be this guide right here with all of the steps for everything that we do today. So that is either going to be in the instructional technology tile, which is on our internal website for IT. So you would go to instructional technology, click training links, or if you want the easiest way, email me. My automatic office reply is just going to send it to you. So just so you know, that way you have it. There's no questions on what I'm doing.
And would you like to do our first poll before they get started?
I do want to, yes. I am going to tell you though that we're going to turn on a Q. Yeah, we'll do the poll. Let's go ahead and do the poll, Mike. So we're going to answer this question right here, which says, how do I know I'm assigning the right assignments? I want you to go ahead and tell us what that answer is. Mike went ahead and launched it. And we should be seeing some votes right now. It is live. If you need, oh, we see it. I know I put a lot of words in there. You just have to read it. It's a lot.
But it looks like we are.
It looks like everybody's on the right track. So what's the answer to that one, Mike?
They're going to verify the assessment title and Focus assessment ID to ensure that it matches what the district has built for them to test for that particular quarter.
Absolutely. The fun part about that really is I put one on there that was like, I just do what I want. And some of you will, but then it will be wrong. So you want to make sure that you're looking at those assessment IDs. Before we get into, sorry, excuse me, I'm going to go a couple steps back. Before I give you guys some work time to work on task 1, which is just doing exactly what I showed you on the screen, I want you to be able to know that you can ask us questions throughout this. Like I mentioned before, this is not going to be an unmute hand raised session, and that's only because this is being recorded and we want to make sure that you know, nobody's going to be put on the air on YouTube or in a way that they don't want to when they ask questions. So we're going to open up something called the Q&A. How you do that is Mike will turn it on, and what it will do is Q&A is now open, and then it will give you the opportunity to write out questions to us if you have any of them. But go ahead and work on task 1, and we will see you in, Mike, give me a time. What time? 1:05?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, 1:05, and we'll circle back and see how comfortable you are with actually signing out one of these practice tests as if we're really doing this for the real live portion of Focus.
All right. Well, we'll see you at 1:05. And remember, if you have any questions, please take advantage of that Q&A. Okay, and we're back in real time. Don't worry if you're like, wait, I just got the hang of it, ready to go. You will have an opportunity in this next round to make sure everything works the way that you think it does. I do want to make sure that I address some of the questions. We're not going to worry about a poll this round, but I do want to address some of the Q&As that we saw. The first one was about the if I want to assign it to just a specific group of kids, and maybe not every kid needs to have a accommodation for text to speech. Mike and I recommend that everybody has it, but if you have a process that works for your school and you want it done with fidelity and for you guys, you know, it doesn't have to be assigned to everybody. And I'm going to walk you through that in this next part. Anything to add, Mike?
No, that's perfect.
So I'm going to show you now what it looks like to go from the beginning after you've assigned an assessment. So you assigned your assessments and you're like, you know what, now I'm ready. Once I've assigned them all, I'm ready to go back and give specific accommodations for each of those students that need it. The first thing I do encourage you to know is that if you're looking for accommodations or a specific set of accommodations, you should definitely reach out to your ESD school specialist, and you should, or your support facilitators who support the work within those grade levels, or even if it's for 504, reach out to the person at your school who handles 504s. In Focus, one thing that you might not know though, is that if you go to reports, you can have access to see ESE assessment accommodations, and you can have access to 504 assessment accommodations. When I select ESE assessment accommodations, just to show you what this looks like on my screen, and just you're watching my screen right now. Don't worry about trying to click the buttons. We'll definitely give you some work time to explore. It says I have 698 students. Now, I don't actually have 698 students. What it does on the report screen is it says that this Judith person, they have multiple assessment accommodations. So there's going to be multiple lines for one student at a time. If I wanted to look at something like, text to speech or even extended time, I can use my filtering skills. Anytime you see this box up here in Focus, it will give me exactly what I want. And notice that it went to a much smaller list. If I know that, fifth graders are the only ones taking my fifth grade science LSA, I can filter it even further and just do grade 5. And then now my list, once it loads, maybe I don't have any of that in 5. Oh, I'm in a middle school, so that makes sense. If I do 7 in this case, now I only have 33 students that I have to worry about with those accommodations. What can I do if I want to print this? Because, I don't want to have to go back to the screen every time. You know what this does right here, Mike? Every time you click that, that is essentially, it's a floppy disk. Jane told me a floppy disk is a universal button for save. That will download it into a CSV. Okay, so just so you know, you're always going to have the options if you're wanting to look at this and say, which of my kids have this? You can use this report or verify list as well. Or your the person at your school who does 504, whether that's your guidance counselors or your MTSS coordinators.
And while you're going back to the screen to talk about how to assign specific accommodations, so I'm a LSA coordinator at a school. I've assigned out all the assessments, and the window is now open. And lo and behold, the second day of the window, Johnny Smith has now been enrolled in our school. Do I have to go back and manually add Johnny Smith in to assign him that assessment?
No, and that's why we do things by the course level. So, and that's why we do things, when I say for the course level, I'm going to show you right here. If I go to assessment and district assessments, because that's a great question, Mike. When you're here, and I'm going to do practice test 3, because that's the one I mass assigned to a general population of students. When I select the title, that's how I get back into my assessment. If you're ever lost, just repeat the steps over again. When you're here, because we did everything by the course level, meaning that all of this here was done by civics, when you assigned it originally, you're not going to have to worry about going back in and doing the one-off for the student.
So so Focus is smart enough to realize if Johnny Smith enrolls day 2 of the window or day 5 of the assessment window, and he gets assigned to MJ Civics, and an assessment has been assigned out to that particular course, it's going to automatically show up on his screen.
Correct. Yes. So that's the one thing that's really nice about this, because the difference between this and Performance Matters Big Picture is this is actually assigned to what the individual course code is that kid is enrolled in. So If there ever is anything where you see an instance like that shouldn't be happening, so then you just contact Mike and I and we can investigate further. But you're absolutely right. What I do want you to know is that mass assigned activities, we're working on this right now. Right now, you're able to see what other schools have assigned in a course level, which is okay. Just don't touch it. So if you see any of this and it's like, that's not my school, just don't touch it. What you assign will be what you assign. If you're ever concerned, all you have to do is go down here and just type in like, this is Carver. If you're ever worried because you're seeing more than you're supposed to, all that means is you guys have admin profiles and sometimes people can see things. If you're a principal or an assistant principal taking this training currently, you're able to see every, student in the district. That's just how it works because you get kids that are coming into you or from elementary to middle or middle to high. It kind of just works that way.
And some of the tech-con roles we're hearing us, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So just keep in mind that if you're really ever concerned and want to make sure that it's just specific towards your school and you're scared that it's not, just use your filters, type in your school, and then you're just going to see your kids. But we did have a great question that said, I don't want every single one of my kids to have text to speech. So what I would do is I would just go in originally and just not mark that and mass assign. So if you're not wanting all of your kids to have text to speech, just don't click that button when you mass assign. And say that later on you want, I don't know, Austin Carver. You realize that he should have it or shouldn't have it. We'll go to this line right here. All I have to do is slide over. I can make changes on this screen. So if I want this kiddo to now, not have it, I just hit save and I'm good to go.
Or in reverse, had you not selected text to speech for everybody, you could turn text to speech on for that particular student.
Absolutely.
And I think I saw, if I read that correctly, so if you've restricted the course time for those secondary students, but now you're going through and making the accommodations for those students that have additional time, you're going to do that in the same process.
Correct. So say that I have, like, I'll do Adams, last name Adams, I'm going to filter out. This is what you would do if you wanted things for specific students. If you know that this kiddo has extended time, or they have a 15-minute buffer, or they have text to speech, you could filter out for those specific kiddos and then change their parameters over here. You're not going to have to assign it twice. You just go in, search for that kid, you should be good to go.
So if you so at the secondary level, if you mass assign restrict course times, all those students are going to have a check mark saying that the course times have been restricted. But now you want Adams to not have that, you can simply come over here and uncheck that for Adams and hit it's turned yellow, which tells me from Tori that means there needs to be a save action, and once you save it, it's going to make that adjustment.
You're absolutely right. So I'm just going to make sure. So say, Adams is going to be my extended test time. He is going to have all day, every day to complete this assessment until he's ready. I leave him checked. I'm going to uncheck this kiddo, or do it in reverse. What Mike is saying is that whether you've mass assigned or not, if you can fix one-offs. You just have to know that when it turns yellow, you hit the save button. And that really is all she wrote. I mean, I will say that if you're ever really concerned, you can definitely mass assign again. It's not really going to hurt anything, but just know that once you've assigned the assessment out once, like they're just getting the one copy of the test, they're good to go.
Yeah, and then you can make specific student individual accommodations, adjustments right there on that screen.
And like I said, I would never touch anything here because just don't. Really, I mean, if you assigned it to a course that you couldn't have, you can absolutely delete it. And say too, a kid was accidentally somewhere, these buttons on the side are delete buttons, but you shouldn't have to worry about doing any of that. Okay. Anything to add, Mike?
No, it seems pretty straightforward.
So what I want us all to do is have the opportunity to practice it just like we did before. So what I do want to know is, yes, we're going to release this poll question right here that says, do I need to assign the assessment twice? Mike is launching that now. And so we're going to get the answer from you all on the poll, and I will mute myself so you're not hearing me and you have a second to think. Mike, it seems like they all got it right. It seems like everybody who answered was ready to go. So basically, yeah, you don't have to assign it twice. You just have to change the parameters. As a matter of fact, my recommendation would be to assign it to everybody. And then for the one-offs, go and fix it. Because then otherwise, like, it's going to feel like it's a lot more work. If you mass assign it and then like dig deeper once it's assigned, you'll be in a pretty good spot. We are going to give you, I don't know, how many minutes, Mike, do you think we're gonna do?
About 10 minutes.
Yeah, about 10 minutes. So what I want you to do is practice assigning it. It's task 2. And that way you're going to have a chance to make sure that you're able to complete it. Remember, you can email me if you don't have it. The Q&A is going to be on. Mike and I will be here to ask or answer any questions. And so ask if you need us. We're going to let you work. And then what do you say, Mike? 10 minutes?
Yeah, about 10 minutes. I think
okay, so at 1:25, we'll be back. All right. So we did get a question, and I want to make sure that I talk about it here. We're back. So if you want to, this was a really good question, Mike.
Yes, it was.
They said for 5th grade, if all students are allowed for text to speech, we use them as a sign and extended time, don't put in the time parameter, then what IEP or 504 accommodations do we have to input for specific students? Great question. If you do all of that, you don't really need to. It comes down to the fact that if you mass assign it to everybody, well then guess what? Only these 4 kids have headphones. Nobody else, if they don't, the kiddos don't have the headphones, they don't get that accommodation. So if you're wanting to make it easier on yourself, which is kind of what Mike had said he felt like was important, is making this as easy as possible. If you mass assign the parameters first,
as long as the teachers know, so the teachers are going to need to know, hey, all the kids have, just like in Performance Matters, all the kids had access to text to speech because it was a parameter built on the back end of the assessment. So just as long as the teachers know, hey, every kid's going to have that text to speech button, but you know which kids need that and what the ones that need the headsets to actually use it. Then it will just be handled at the classroom level. The accessibility is already there.
And what I'll make sure happens too is just, I'll show you what a student's view looks like in this training. So it's going to be very, very clear to you. You're going to be like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, well, we're going to move on now to printing the assessment. So all I want you to do for this one is to look at my screen, because we're not going to have you do this in the training site to practice. Because Mike and I are going to get you in the real site. Not yet, you don't have access yet, but we'll let you know when you're able to go into the real site. All I want you to do is watch my screen and what I'm doing. In order to print an assessment, there's a few things that you have to do. I like to go back to the beginning. Every time I want to get back to the beginning, I just hit the refocus button. People usually throw tomatoes at me, Mike, and we go. So if I select assessment, district assessments, the same exact steps. I just have to remember I assigned practice test 3. If you're in the real site, this is maybe going to be LSA biology, US history, civics, any, algebra, any of those things. When you hit the reports button, this is really important. You hit reports, assessment reports, all here in this guide, don't you worry. All you have to do, that's how you're able to print the test.
Wow.
So you hit reports, assessment reports. You don't even have to run anything. You just hit print activity. All you want to do is print the assessment, and then you generate it. I'll show you what this looks like. My lovely drive today has been loving it. I download the assessment, and I will show you. It's opened. This is the tab right here. So this is exactly what it is that you will have the kids take a paper copy of. If there are, images, it will print out too. Everything is there.
Yep. Now the only difference with this printed version, the formatting on this printed version versus what you were used to on Performance Matters, is the test IDs, the test name, all of that sat in the top left header of the page. And with these, it's in the lower left footer of the page.
Yep, so all of that's here. Instead of it saying practice test 3 for LSA coordinators, it's going to say LSA US history. It's also going to say who generated it, which would be, you guys, you'd be able to have that. But Mike, for the people that need printed assessments, how many are they going to have?
Yeah, well, that's one of the great things also now, because everything is sitting within Focus. So those schools that were having to print out entire class sets, they're not going to have to do that now because they have access to Focus. So now the only printed copies that are going to be needed are truly for those students that are going to have a specific accommodation.
That says if I need that, absolutely. So I'm going to go back to this page so that we can see exactly what it is that our expectation is. You're here, you have the printed assessment. Your question's probably going to be, how do I get those answer keys into, well, I mean, how do I print a bubble sheet? How do I print a bubble sheet? That would be my next question. This one is a little bit different, which is why I'm showing you here versus having you generate it in the training site, because it's just going to be a lot easier to see when I demo it on my screen. I select the bubble sheet tab right here. And when I do, you're going to see some print options. I'm going to go to Carver Middle. I'm going to choose a grade level that takes these assessments. These are the ones I assigned it at. I'm going to select my student. If I know those kids that need the bubble sheet, like Mike said, it's only going to be maybe a few. I can absolutely type all 5 of those kids' names in right now. Say this one and this one, they all get this accommodation. I hit print. And then it's going to generate just like it did before with the assessment. But what's really nice about this, see, I did a few more bubble sheets this time for you. Mike, the last training, I had like 1 multiple choice question and nobody believed me. But when you're here, look what it does, Mike. It gives the name, the school, the teacher, and then it gives the bubble sheet there. Is there anything to add to that?
No, it looks very easy.
Yeah, and you can print it all at one time. You're not going to have to go into each kid and print it and go. You'll have it.
So what I'm seeing is anything that I need to do with the assessment, a specific assessment, I'm always going to go from Focus. I'm going to go to assessments on the left-hand side to district assessments. I'm going to find the assessment that I'm working with, and I'm going to select it. And then from there, that's where I can assign. It's from there that I can print a test form. It's from there I can print a bubble sheet.
Yep.
What about getting the bubble sheets back in?
Perfect. So what happens when you get the bubble sheets back in? Right. So far, this seems like 1-2 steps. So I am going to tell you when you're in the, I would just, repeat those same steps: assessment, district assessment, find the test. You're going to go to the bubble sheet tab again. You're going to see something that says upload assessments. Now, this is important. I do want to make sure that we know this. Notice right now that this says practice test 3 for LSA coordinators. In your world in elementary, it would say, grade 5 LSA, or if you're in secondary, it would say probably, LSA for civics. Whatever that title would be in this corner. You can only upload per the test. So for example, I would want all of my bubble sheets that were for grade 5 science here in a stack. I'm going to go to my printer. I always say the follow me printer. That's going to be, you're going to see 2 options when you get to the poll. I don't care what printer you use, just know that they're going to want to be scanned in. So we typically hear that the follow me printers that are all schools are the easiest way to do this. But if you have a scanner in your office, you could use that too. Once you have the file of the bubble sheet, you
on your computer,
you click here, you upload it. It says right here. It's you know what? I'll even show you one further. Mike, I'm going to show them what it looks like on the bubble sheet end. How about that?
Yep.
So
and you just drag and drop.
So all I do is say I have my file here and I want this to be called, 1 second. Bubble sheets. It's a PDF of my bubble sheets, and you're going to notice that it will tell you what you've uploaded here. So it will tell you, oh, you uploaded this one, it's 100%. The reason this one didn't go is because that was the printed assessment. You'll know you get to 100% because it knows that you're scanning the bubbles.
Yeah. Now, this is the only real little difference between Performance Matters at the moment and Focus. So with Performance Matters, you went to your Follow Me printers and you chose Scan to Performance Matters, and you scanned them in and it automatically submitted to Performance Matters. District IT has been in communication with Focus, and they're aware of that functionality. They're working with their engineers to make that happen. It's not accessible or available yet. So at the moment, those bubble sheets, the completed bubble sheets, will have to be scanned into a computer. And then from there, they're going to have to be dragged and dropped onto the particular assessment on this screen that you're looking at and let them load in. And then they'll automatically be graded, assigned and graded to that particular student.
And like I said, I know that's not ideal in consideration of what Performance Matters was. You were able to just scan it in. Just know that we're working on it, just like anything else when it comes to Focus. You guys probably don't know this, but if you've ever met with a vendor of Performance Matters, they'll be like, you want that? Sorry. You kind of get what you get. Focus is constantly working with us to make things more efficient for how we do things in Lake. What I am going to show them, Mike, is what it looks like on a student view. I think everyone wants to know this. So when you're in a student view, and don't pay any attention to the person behind the screen here for a minute, as I'm going in, I'm going to add what it looks like on a student view. Students get a portal alert in Focus, which is really nice, because all it says for them is like, hey, you have a test, it's time to take it. There's no like click into this button. And I do want to mention, Mike, you want to talk about the secure browser?
So Focus has a secure browser, a lockdown that they are working on the functionality, and IT is testing the parameters of it for the Chromebooks. And once the green lights are checked for all of those, then we'll actually even have the availability for a lockdown browser for even the LSAs. It's not functional yet. There is our IT and the engineers with Focus are doing some of the background checking. But that's yet another functionality that is pretty close to being rolled out. So lots of different functionalities that we can start to do utilizing the Focus platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to let you know that like eventually there, like Mike said, there will be a lockdown browser. Our issue is that, not issue, it's a good thing. We love that the kids' Chromebooks match what teachers have in their rooms, but they're just building it out for Chrome. So we'll give you more on that probably second half of the year, or even Q2, 3, 4, but constant updates that are happening, which is good. This is what a student sees. Now, I was assigning a practice exam in the previous class, which is why you're going to see 2 assessments. However, for elementary school people, this is great, because if they are doing LSA assessments and you're assigning it, this is what they'll see. It would say, science test 1 or math test 2. If you've ever given an iReady diagnostic, Mike, they've always been able to click in. It's really simple. Here, to me, it's even better, because when you click into, I'm going to do practice test 3, this is actually what a student will see. So it's loading. Once you're here, this is how a student is going to be able to view their assessment. It's really nice. You can go by the question, and they have the read aloud option here. When I click that, that's what Mike was saying earlier. If you just mass assign the combination that they all have read aloud, they can click read aloud. If they have headphones, they're going to know that that's how they can use that button. Let's talk about some of the other things. We had secondary questions. If they want it zoomed in, I am pretty confident with some of the stuff that Mike and I were able to do on the inside to make the font scaling look good on a student Chromebook, because they do take their assessments on Chromebooks, that the font will be nice for them to read, but they click the plus symbol and they can make their questions bigger. They also have the option here to use masking when this is selected. If they're like, you know what, this isn't the answer, this is not the answer, I don't want to use it, that is a parameter that's built in there. I will also make sure I send this out when I send the guides to teachers about what these buttons do on the student view. The other thing that I can do is a line reader. This would be definitely more efficient if you were assessing on something in language arts or maybe a passage. But if you're here, I can decide to turn that on so that it's following the text that I want. It's going to mask everything else except for the sentence that I want to read. The last button is the highlight tool. So if I want to highlight free enterprise system, I highlight, free enterprise system, I highlight it here. If I can get my life together today, guys. You saw the highlighter there, but it's worked on every single one today. But that is how you highlight it, and it changes the color. Now there are the 4 colors that you have. Notice right here, blue, green, all of the things. So if I go in here, normally that button does pop up. Perfect. See, I told you I would get it. These are the 4 colors that are in the Tide portal. So specifically what they're used to with state testing, these are the 4 ones that they have that are there as well.
And what about the secondary assessments where they need the calculator?
Perfect. So I will show you on the other assessment. So I didn't add this on the elementary one, but for anybody that's here with secondary, I do want to point this out. If your kiddo is saying, Ms. Grable, I'm going, maybe you're going to lunch if they're doing all day testing. How do they save their assessment? When in doubt, the floppy disk. It's going to say your assessment has resumed. You can exit. It will pause their test. I'm going to point out that right here, I'm going to go back into assessment 2, which is the one I did for secondary LSA coordinators. If they have a calculator, they're suddenly, if we've assigned that, that's a parameter that they need within their assessment. This is mainly for secondary users. We can choose whether it's scientific or graphing. It will have a calculator there for them to use. So just want to point that out. My next question is, okay, I see the student view. What happens if I submit my exam, Mike? What did you notice went away?
Yep, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of that, before you leave the student view, I have another question.
Okay.
So it's my understanding you're going to give them time today to actually go onto the real site and really start assigning the real Q1 LSAs.
Correct.
So it's not October 1st. So if they're assigning it today to Johnny Smith, is Johnny Smith, when he logs into Focus, is he going to see that assignment?
Johnny Smith is not. So keep in mind that assessment, that start and end time, that start and end date that you guys did will be the only time they view the assessment. So what that means is, I'll show you, because that's a great question, Mike. If I go back to assessment in district assessments, what Mike is saying is because you set up the parameters here that say, you know what, this kiddo is doing this assessment at this time, you're not going to have to worry about them seeing it on the portal before you're ready.
So it's only going to become available to them October 1st.
Correct. And you know how you know that? Because you assigned it here. Well, mine says the 18th through the 20th. This is a bad example, but mine says the 18th through the 20th because I wanted to show you what a student view looks like. But whatever you do on start and end date, that will be the only time the students see the assessment. So if I change this from October 1st to October 10th, and then I mass assigned that assessment, that would be the only time the kiddos can see that assessment on their portal. You just have to make sure you hit mass assign. Anything to add there, Mike?
No, that's great to know.
What I am going to show you now is what it looks like on the teacher view, because we get asked that question a lot. What is what I'm seeing? How is it different from what a teacher sees? Well, since you guys are the ones that are mass assigning these assessments out to students, teachers don't get the same privileges that you do. Which makes sense, right? I mean, they have how many kids sometimes? This way you set it for everybody, it's good to go. What teachers can do, however, and don't worry, I'm going to make sure there's a guide and everything that's ready for them, is they go to assessment, district assessment. Their screen looks really similar to yours. The only difference is that we'd still search for the test. This is going to make you guys happy. Do you see an assign button?
No.
They cannot assign this assessment to kids, which is a good thing because all of the work that you do, no one else is going to have to mess anything or change anything. It's all set on your parameters. When you go, I do want to talk about these 2 reports I'm going to talk to teachers about. You also have access to these. When you go on the reports tab, notice that that's what defaults for teachers. When you hit the participation, there's a few reports. We're going to talk about statistical summary, student item analysis, student insight, the standard insights reports after testing has been completed. So don't worry about any of those reports right now. That's only going to be a small part of what we talk about when we do our assessment training.
Yeah, so that is actually going to be the second training.
Yes.
That's already been set up that you can already sign up for. And it's already been scheduled. Many already have, and it's scheduled for the week after the Q1 window closes, so that now when we talk about student data, you're going to see real live student assessment data from the actual assessment that they just took.
And the good news is Mike, I mean, we're going to invite administrators, we're going to invite other instructional coaches to that, but regardless, nobody has the profile you have unless you've attended this training, and that's determined from your principal. I do want to mention that the participation report, that's the first one that teachers are only ever going to want to worry about. So participation, they only have access to their school and their kids. That makes sense because their teachers are scheduled in with their kids on the scheduling level. They're going to do participation, and all they're going to do is hit run report. When they select run report, look what happens. Mike, what do you see?
Well, it looks like I'm seeing students and I'm seeing the status regarding the specific assessments that they've been assigned.
Now, one thing that's really great about this screen is we know that anytime we see this, we could absolutely filter. If it were me, I might just, anytime I see a number one symbol, sorting and filtering in a column, if I click this, all my kids that have started it go to the bottom. If I click it again, it's just going to bring up those kids that started the assessment.
And since this is all done within the specific assessment, because you had to select that assessment, we know that we're looking at that assessment that we selected.
And it's going to tell you, you know, this is when they've completed it, it's there. I do want to mention something. You have 8 pages of records. Why do I have 115? Well, that's because this teacher probably has 115 kids across his roster. You could also decide, you know, to go by period as well. They will have that capability. The other report I want to make sure that I mention is the live proctor report. Live proctor, I just hit run report. I don't have to do anything different. Once I'm here, there are no rows to show. You want to know why that is? It is because I did not pick, this is funny. I finished my assessment. So remember when I hit finish my assessment? This is only going to pop up when they have kids to show. So for it's I'll run it again just to be sure. But okay, so right here, my period 4, the live proctor report, the one good thing about teachers, and this is really important to know, is they can see the kids that are in front of them and when they're taking the assessment. So what that means is Michael Adams, this student right here, when I hit the 3 dots on the end, what do you notice, Mike? Pause and resume. A teacher can pause and resume a test. You as an LSA coordinator are not going to have to do that. That is something if the teacher chooses that they can do. Now we normally get this question. Do teachers have to do this? Well, Mike, do they have to do this?
No.
Yeah.
It's just another option for them to utilize. I mean, of course, they can be up revolving around and actively monitoring from desk to desk. This is now where that's the instructional prerogative based upon what they've been trained to do for all assessments.
Now, we are only turning this on after the completion of testing for 5 days. Mike has told me that this has always been something that teachers can do for instructional purposes, which is review their assessment data. They will not have this until after the exam time is completed, but they will be able to preview their questions with their kids to go over the assessment for instructional purposes.
Now, this is something that is a little bit different compared to Performance Matters. So we've always had the 5-day window afterwards where for instructional purposes, teachers had access to the actual assessment items so that they could actually discuss that in an instructional setting for instructional purposes with students. However, in Performance Matters, they had to access this through student item analysis. And when you opened up student item analysis for a particular assessment, it also populated the student data for the actual students that were assigned to that particular teacher for that particular test. And we always caution them to be very careful, particularly if they were doing a whole screen view of this, or a whole class view of a particular test item, because they had to hide the actual student data while they were accessing the question. But within Focus, they're going to have this preview option where they can just go in and preview the actual assessment. That they're not going in through student item analysis where they're having to worry about student scores and performance data that's also visible. It's now just the actual items for that particular assessment.
So Mike, what I'm hearing you say is it kind of protects the student scores, student data, when they're able to review this with their kiddos, the teachers reviewing it with their kiddos, they're not gonna have to worry about, oh, you know, Tori got this grade on her assessment.
Right. And it's also going to speed up the actual process because they're not having to worry about trying to hide particular portions. They just go up and, hey guys, we need to look at question number 5. My data is showing me question number 5. Something went wrong with that. And here's let's talk about that as a group. They can just go down and find that particular item and bring it up.
Absolutely. That's really great to know. And I just want to point out too, something that's pretty important about this is the benefit of having everything in one place means eventually when we talk to you guys at the next training about reports,
Yep.
you probably noticed that in most places in Focus, there's a message button. So when you're talking about sharing results with parents and talking about what it looks like, or, you know, explaining to parents what's going on with testing, what a benefit it is to have everything in the same system.
That's right. And while we're on the screen, just so that you all know as well, if you look over on the left, those are the actual items that are in this test. And right now, these items, because these are just pulled in items from a standard bank, you see the actual stem for that question. We've loaded in a lot of metadata. The curriculum specialists have spent a lot of time building these assessments and then also tagging the item with the standards. And so the actual where the stem is going to actually show the major overarching standard that question is assessing. So it's going to even help with the instructors on that as well. So there's metadata tied behind the scenes, as well as, instead of just seeing what the stem is, the title where that stem is going to be is going to actually show that overarching standard.
So when you're talking about pulling, you know, assessments and essential standard data, there's some things on the horizon, even in January, that aren't even built yet. I'm going to be entirely honest. I think I've shown Mike this a couple of times, but there is a report that is coming that is phenomenal. It's not built yet. It's part of our package. Focus is being really customizable with us to make sure that we have everything working the way that we think it does. But some really great reports are coming when it comes to insights about student data in this platform. Now, I am going to jump off my soapbox. I think we've been talking your ears off for a minute. We are going to launch a poll. We meant to do it before, and it's just review. But essentially, the question is, how do you get completed Scantrons back into Focus? I know you're like, wait, you shifted from that. You showed me a student view. You showed me all this in between. Let's see if you guys remember. How do we get completed Scantrons back into Focus? So that was really fun. I didn't realize that I was muted. And what I do want to make sure that I talk about here is the assessment timeline that we're going to be rolling out for, well, you all. You're going to notice that these assessment LSA coordinator trainings, these are going on. You're doing this right now. But we're going to make sure that all of you that are an assessment coordinator or LSA coordinator are going to have the opportunity to get some practice in with us. That's what the purpose of today's training was. You're also going to see that we're going to have guides created for teachers. Those guides for teachers, the live proctor report that I just showed, the participation report, how to preview the assessment data. We're going to have all of that ready and packaged to go after we've completed the LSA, the last LSA training, which you're going to notice is on September 26th. That's a Friday. On that Monday, we're going to make sure everything's rolled out for teachers to use. We just didn't want to put this out before you had a chance to really dive in and assign it for yourself.
Yeah. And as far as the teachers, there's really not much for the teachers to do other than when the window opens and it's that day for your students to test, for them to make sure that the kids go into Focus and they select the assessment that they're supposed to be working on and start. And then the teacher can progress monitor it through the live view or however they normally do when they're actually administering an assessment.
Perfect. So we also have guides available for how to view the content 5 days after the exam. That's going to be for instructional purposes. The reason that we're not doing that prior to the exam, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yep. So they will be able to have that on October 14th. And then notice 2 days later, you're going to be able to attend the assessment reports training. And a lot of that is going to focus on some LSAs. So we're going to work with the program specialists here that do a good job at making reports and make sure everything rolls out the way that we think it should for you guys. So a lot of good things that are coming up. I do want to make sure I mention too, where is this information going to be for your teachers? I think I already covered that. It's going to be in a lot of places, but just keep in mind, anytime that you are in a Focus site, anytime you're next to the surfing owl, you're going to see something that says training docs. And that's, you're going to have a section for LSA coordinators or Focus assessments that will be there so you can search everything that we do. Please don't feel like we're leaving anybody out of the dark. Well, Mike, I think that really is a lot of what she did. Yes.
Yep. I'm not sure that they saw that screen come up.
Oh, perfect. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mike. When you hit the training docs, this is going to see where you see every single thing that we do. All of it's here. So you will have a section for Focus assessments. I don't want to give anyone whiplash with how much I'm scrolling, but all of that will be here. The final thing I want to talk about is making sure that we know, when am I going to be able to see all of this in the real site? Well, the answer to that, Mike, is right now. What we want you to do is, we were sneaky behind the scenes. We gave you profile permissions in the real Focus production site. So in the Focus SIS site, you're going to be able today, while we're on the call, go ahead and start assigning these to your schools.
So wait a second. So just to understand, we're going to be able right now to assign out the real LSAs for Q1 while we're here, so that they feel comfortable and they can have them assigned out and ready to go for October 1st.
Correct. And Mike and I will be on the call. If anyone has any, we're going to open up the Q&A and we'll be able to answer any specific questions that you guys have. But before we do that, if there is anything for the good of the group, please write it in here. But otherwise, this is going to be some work time for you guys. Mike and I are going to stay here until everyone's finished, so that we make sure that everyone has exactly what they need. We're going to answer your questions. So we're here. We're ready for you guys to do some of that work. To get to the real site, you're just going to need to go to your class link tab and do Focus SIS, and you should be able to go in and get that stuff done right now. Anything to add, Mike?
No, thank you so much for all that you do every day for the students of Lake County Schools. We really appreciate it. We are going to be here behind the scenes. If you have any questions, please drop them into the chat box, and we will be more than happy to answer those for you. And we are going to be here until everybody's finished and signed off. And hope that you have an opportunity now to take advantage of this time and go back in on the real site now, see that it looks exactly the same, except now you're working with the real assessments, the real students, and you can start assigning those out for your students.
Absolutely. So we're going to be around for the final Q&A, which means that any questions that you have, this is going to be some work time. And please, like Mike said, take advantage of us being here and setting this up for your teachers and your students. All right, I'm going to put us on mute, but if you need anything, use that Q&A.